The Israeli Football Association has 6 football teams on stolen Palestinian land, even under international law. Not just that, but the Israeli regime is continuously bombing, shooting, injuring Palestinian sportsmen and women. This is what you are faced with if you are a sports person in Gaza or the rest of Palestine. You are often taken out of your dreams and career in sport. Now, I was in Gaza for 2 years, and while I was there, Israel bombed the main football stadium, the Palestine stadium that was in Gaza. We walked around the rubble. When the rubble was there, we saw people being dragged out. We watched in horror as the football pitch was destroyed. This is the stadium. This is where the people come and watch sport, and they bombed it. 4 enormous craters and all of the stadium and the stands destroyed. This was during the bombing of 2012. They killed 3 Palestinian international footballers or former international footballers in 2009 with the bombing of Gaza. They arrested Mahmoud Sarsak, the footballer who was the international superstar, the attacker, and he was going to play football in the rest of Palestine. He had to cross the checkpoint, and Israel took him, a 21-year-old international footballer, held him for 3 years with no charge. 3 years with no charge. And they tortured him. He went on a hunger strike for 99 days to win his freedom. And it was sports stars around the world were supporting him. Eric Cantona supported Mahmoud Sarsak. Eric Cantona, the hero in Manchester, footballer, and many others who said this is not allowable when it's another footballer and an international footballer. So these are the crimes facing Israel. They are complicit in destruction of Palestinian sport. They are committing crimes against Palestinian sportsmen and women, not to say all of the other crimes of stopping Palestinians travel. So people can't play sport in other places, so they can't develop and train, so they can't get equipment in. That is what's happening to Palestinian men and women, sports people, and that is exactly why we're saying boycott Puma for their sponsorship of the Israeli Football Association. When they are bombing and killing Palestinian footballers, when they are shooting Palestinian youth who finish football, they go through a checkpoint. 2 of them in the West Bank, they got shot up in the legs. They were coming back from football. They had their shin pads, their football boots, and they were shot in the legs, and their careers were ended. One was shot 11 times, and they set the dog on him. They were 19. They were clearly just walking back from football training. There are 500 checkpoints that Palestinians have to cross in Palestine, but they are militarily occupied. It's the longest running military occupation in modern history, and that is why there is a big injustice facing the Palestinians, and that is why we will not stop.
So yesterday when we went into the Puma offices, they told us you can't meet anybody from Puma, so we left them some letters to the management of Puma, and in these letters we set out exactly what the Israeli Football Association does. The Israeli Football Association operates apartheid in Palestine. The Israeli Football Association prevents Palestinian footballers from playing. Indeed, it injures them, detains them in prisons without any time limit, and only the intervention of international football stars like Eric Cantona have even achieved the release of some of these prisoners after 3 or 4 years. Their careers are ruined. Their football lives are over. They come out of a horrendous detention in Israeli conditions. This is an appalling part of the apartheid regime, and we are here to oppose the apartheid regime and to oppose Israeli Football Apartheid Association. Whenever you see those words, Israel Football Association, remember the word apartheid is in there. Israel Football Apartheid Association. And so we went in, and Puma would not meet us. But we continued to occupy the premises of Canada House, where Puma is housed, and we said to them, until you get Puma out of your building, we will be coming back and telling you that we want Puma to drop Israel and we want you to drop Puma. We will come back. And when we had gone, they slammed the doors and locked the gates. So they locked themselves in. And some of us who go to Elbit in Oldham every week have seen that happen. When you start to barricade yourself in, when you start to lock yourself in, then the end is nearly there.
I'd like to draw people's attention to some of the footballers that have been supporting Palestine. We have Mahrez, Man City playing today. He has been a strong supporter of the Palestinians, just like many others around the world. They said enough is enough. They flown the flag. This was after they won the Premier League. Man City, he was waving the Palestinian flag. Paul Pogba and Ahmad Diallo as well waving the Palestinian flag. We salute the footballers as well, like Wesley Fofana and Ahmed Chowdhury at Leicester City, Hamza Chowdhury. These are the ones now, they're stepping over. This is a sign that actually we're breaking through the mainstream. When world champions like Pogba, who's won the World Cup, stands with the Palestinians and says no more, then it is time that everybody starts to look up and say something is wrong, and we do something about it. And if we just look at what Israel does to protesters in Palestine, these are all amputees. Children amputees. There were hundreds made in the attacks on the protesters in 2018-19. 250 Palestinians were killed during the protests. Hundreds had amputations because they shoot in the leg. So a lot of these young kids that were marching and protesting who perhaps had dreams to play football, to like sport, when sport is actually an escape, and they get shot in the legs and now they're amputees and they can't play football again and they'll never get their leg back again. And this is in Gaza, and I was in Gaza for 2 years. I was a teacher in university. 2 of my students were killed, one of them their entire family. And so when they are shot like this, all these kids, and they have to lose their legs, and you're living in Gaza, which is under siege, under blockade, it is surrounded by Israeli F-16s, it is surrounded by drones. If you go to the land borders, there's jeeps and snipers shooting at the farmers. That is the reality. You look up and there's drones and F-16s in the sky, there's Navy gunships if you look on the horizon. A child of 12 will have been through 4 horrific bombardments, 12-year-olds. And the last one was in May when they killed 250 Palestinians, 66 more children were killed, taken away from their mothers, their fathers, their brothers and sisters. Thousands of injuries. And you're in the siege, you're surrounded in Gaza, the most crowded place on the planet, mostly children, mostly refugees. And then you get bombed as well, and then you lose your legs and they shoot. You shoot all the legs and amputate them. This is the reality for so many. They're still living there and I'm in touch with them every day. It's real. It's time for